Yeah, I mean, I'm incredibly proud of our team for finding a way to get a win on the road in Jonesboro. Obviously, we had going into it with a bunch of guys who couldn't play. We lost 2 more linemen in the first quarter. And really had to weather a really bad start. Down 10-0. Poor field position, had to overcome a lot of penalties, which part of that was the field position battle as well. And fought back in it, and found a way to win. It's been a fun group all year, but I've never been more proud of their resolve and kind of their resilience. It just kind of speaks to what they've been all year. And I told them after the game, I'm glad the game went the way it did. So I'm glad everybody got to see what this team is about, because it's been week after week, it's been challenge after challenge, and they've attacked them all. And a few weeks back, we talked about being in this position and talked about the work it was going to take to get here, and here we are. So, we've got a big one this week, obviously. This is what we wanted, was for week 12 to mean something for us. Naturally, senior day is always a big deal, being back at home, playing a rivalry game against ULM. And then, there's a bowl game on the line, and, 8 years in a row. That's something that I'm really proud of, and it's something we're going to fight like hell to try to get done, because anytime you play ULM, it's always going to be a dogfight. It's always going to be that type of game. You turn on the tape, you wish it was a team who's out of contention for postseason. You wish it was a team that wasn't playing very hard, and you wish it was a team that had kind of fallen apart, but they're not. Coach Vincent does a phenomenal job at ULM. The kids play incredibly hard. I think their defensive line is really one of the better ones in the conference. They're big. They play hard. They do a lot of stuff up front. So, for us, it's going to be a challenge, just like the last 3 have been. So, something we got to prepare ourselves for and get ready to go and attack head on.
Coach, I've seen it for years. You get an emotional win, especially the way you won. It's just natural to have a letdown the next week. And I know coaches don't like hearing that necessarily, but and it's senior day. I've seen some bad senior day. So just what do you do as a coach? You can't snap your fingers and make it not happen, but to address those issues.
Well, I think you talk about them. You talk about the potential, fallout, or letdown after a game that's like that. You talk about all those things and having to handle those emotions well. And I'll be the first to, I don't handle the senior day emotions very well. That's always hard for me. I hate it, to be quite honest with you, because it gets me out of my frame of mind too. You talk about it, and you say why, it's important that we handle these things really well, and mature teams find a way to handle those things well. Fortunately, I think our guys have played well on senior night at home, the past few years. They've handled that really well. But yeah, I mean, it's, those are real things that you got to deal with. I'd like to think that maybe last week was a little bit of our letdown, the way it started. It started, about as badly as it could. It's kind of like the Monroe game 2 years ago. That was a nightmare start, and so hopefully that's something that we bounce back from. We started really fast, the previous, 3, 4, 5 weeks before that. So hopefully we can get back to starting fast and kind of, getting back to doing that, playing a little better in the beginning. But, yeah, those are real things that, you got to hope your team has the maturity to handle them. We worked incredibly hard to get to this point, and it certainly wasn't just to get to this point. We need to go finish the season to be able to, keep those postseason dreams alive.
What's the latest update on the offensive line?
Yeah, Coop and Mackey are both out for the year.
What is their situation?
They're both having surgery this week.
Knee?
Coop's the knee, Mackey's the foot.
So we've already asked you about Andrew, but when you went and looked at the film, what did it look like?
I thought he played a lot better against Arkansas State than he did against Troy. He played really hard against Troy, and he, went out there and gave us a chance. I thought he played really well against Arkansas State. So, the reality of it is he's been in the fire a little bit this year. He will start for us naturally. The biggest issue is that there's like there's just not much depth anywhere behind anybody at all. So, it is what it is, though. I mean, our guys all year have stepped in there and played well, and he played great the other night. To not have one snap issue in that game, that's almost a miracle. When you put a center in there who hasn't played a whole lot, he's got to snap every ball back there in a high-pressure situation. Made the IDs, did a really good job, played really well. I think that was, he was a player of the game for us, whenever we went back and watched it because of the role he had to step in and the way he had to step in and play. Played better last week than he did the first week when he played. Expect every game experience you get is adds to your confidence and your ability to play. And, hopefully, this one's better than the last one.
So who are the next up?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I have to figure it out.
You've been around a team that's had so many injuries in one room.
This is like not even. I don't even know how you could ever even anticipate anything half this happening. The worst part is, it's going to affect us this spring. This is not just these guys are out for this week. These guys are out for the year. These are season-ending surgeries. These are months on end recoveries. I've never been around anything like this ever. I've been in seasons where your two starting linebackers get hurt. It's like, man, that sucks. Well, okay. This is 9 guys that are out for the year. This is, I think 11 guys who have missed games this year. That's more than a 2 deep. That's absurd. And it's something different every time. It's not, you sit there and you go back and like, all right, well, what can we do differently? Like, what can we? It's not. There's no pattern to it. There's no, it's these injuries are all similar. It's all different stuff. It's just, I don't know. You kind of start to think maybe you turn the corner, kind of got out of the woods a little bit, and then here you go, and in the game. Mackey's is non-contact. He's turning to run, and I have never ever been around anything like this. It's it's hard to figure.
What about Coach Former, his strengths as a coach, has helped y'all at least somewhat hold this together?
Well, I would say that he and PJ have done an exceptional job in that room. First of all, the natural tendency, right, when you lose a good player is feel sorry for yourself, right? And that's, that's the natural tendency. Well, he's lost, 11 guys throughout the course of the year that, we pour a lot into, a lot of energy, effort, love, everything into these guys to try to continue to develop them. And, what I would say that he's done an exceptional job of is he's coached the young ones really hard all the way along. So those guys have stepped up and they have played well when they've had to. And, you're getting to the point now where you got redshirt freshmen and you got true freshmen that are on the cusp of playing, that were, truthfully a year or 2 years away from playing. And they're going to go and they're going to play well if they've got to. I think he's done a great job with the older guys and the leadership in that room of kind of keeping that vision the same. Like, hey, bring these guys along. This is how you can help them. But Coach Former has been, unbelievable. Last year offensively, when he got here, he brought a lot to the table and the way he wanted to do things and the way he coaches it and teaches it and how he sees it, and made us a lot better on offense last year. This year we've had to kind of reinvent ourselves, 3, 4, 5 times over this year, just with what we can and can't do and the way we got to play the game to win. And he's adjusted and adapted week after week. And he's done an unbelievable job. We ran the ball for 200 yards the other night with our two, with 10 guys and 10 guys that weren't able to play. It's what he's been able to do is unbelievable. And, it's a testament to him and PJ and those kids up front. You can have the best plan that's ever been made, but if the players and the kids won't execute it and they won't work for it, then it doesn't matter. So it's twofold, right? It's a coach that has a vision, has a plan, has the expertise to be able to teach it, and it's players that want to soak it up and want to learn it, and they work with urgency. And fortunately, we've had both. I mean, if you'd have told me this would have happened at the beginning of the year, I'd have told you we might not win a game. I mean, it's, you know, and then the defense steps up and plays their tails off, right, when they're down people. I mean, they controlled the line of scrimmage the other night. I mean, then your wide receivers who struggled early in the year, they have stepped up and played really well. You got a quarterback who stepped in there and been a spark for this team. I mean, everywhere along the way, you've had people that have just stepped up. And that's why, you know, I tell people, I mean, this is I'm more proud of this team than any other one I've ever been a part of for what they've been able to handle and weather. And I mean that.
Blake Bates and Burnell, after watching film, what do you like about what they did and what they brought?
Lake does a really good job communicating back there. Really smart kid, plays really hard. He's a good tackler. Rennell was, I mean, flying around out there. I mean, he was in the right spots. He missed a couple tackles and things like that, but he was flying to the football. And, you know, he made a couple plays, you know, early in the game when they got the ball on the plus side of the field. You know, they a lot of people, but they run the quarterback a lot in the red zone. You know, it's your plus one, right? He takes off on his own read, and I mean, Rennell flies downhill and knocks it back into the pursuit and stops, and they have to kick a field goal in that first drive when they got the ball in the plus 36 after that bad punt. I mean, the kid played really fast, played really hard. He's fearless. It was to watch those guys step up and go play. It was pretty impressive. I mean, didn't really miss a beat. The corners played really well, covered well against really good receivers, contested, competed. Got beat a couple of times, but I mean, you know, Corey Rucker's got a lot of notches on his belt. You know, I mean, so I was incredibly proud of that group on the back end.
What about when you went back and looked at the film? We were doing a lot of complaining about holding and holds that were what the hold on the kickoff return and the hold brought back. What did you see?
I'll comment, and I'll keep it very politically correct because I've, you know, reached out to the officials, and there's a process for us to voice our concerns to them throughout the week. And I actually spoke to Wayne Winkler this week about what the concerns were. Here's what I think every coach wants. You want to feel like if it's going to be called tight, then it's called tight the whole way. If they're going to let them play, then you let them play the whole way. And I think that was the biggest issue that I had with it. Was the hold on the kickoff return? Could you have called it a hold? Yeah. I mean, his hands are outside. Do I think it restricted him? No, not enough. But there are returns on the other end that are the same. You know, does that make sense what I'm saying? And I think that's all that anybody wants is, truthfully, most of us would like for them to let more of it go than call it, you know, because no one really wants that. 11-1 though in penalties, that's hard to see as being something that really happened in a game. And that was the biggest thing, was just, that was my complaint, was I just felt like, okay, if we're going to call these, then I think that we need to call them all, you know, and that was my biggest complaint. And I voiced it, and you know, Wayne will get back to us and he'll tell us if he agrees or disagrees. But it's tough, you know. I mean, and then the 75-yard touchdown run, you know, that I think that's a tough one to call. You know, I really do. You know, watching it over and over and over again, I think that's a tough one to call. But you know, the bottom line is they called them, and you know, we're going to coach it. We're going to coach playing with more discipline and keeping our hands inside and moving our feet and finishing. You know, we talk about 2 to 1 to none. You know, kind of running them out of there and not getting in position where you look like you're holding. So we're going to continue to coach it better. You know, we got to execute it better. But yeah, I mean, I just felt like they called some of them tighter than others, and I think that's where most of my frustration comes from. Typically, when things like that happen.
What has made them pretty good on defense, and sometimes really good on defense this year?
ULM, they're good up front. They're really good up front. They're big. They're very active. The last 2 weeks, they're doing a lot more a lot more run stunts and things like that up front. I mean, the front moves every play, which naturally, I mean, that's my concern this week, right? You know, with our offensive line, kind of where we're at. You know, they're really active up front, and I think when you play really well up front, that presents a lot of problems. You know, I mean, so you know, trying to get the run game going and trying to find some good sound runs that we can chip away at it. Is going to be difficult. You know, truthfully, I think this might be a little bit more feast or famine type of deal where, you know, they'll create some negatives, but hopefully you can get them out of gaps and you can pipe some as well. You know, as you sit there and say, well, you just throw it. Well, it's like, well, you got to protect them too. And that's an issue for us right now as well, right? So we've got to find a way to run the football where our play actions and all of our stuff that comes off of that kind of is a little bit more effective. But, yeah, I mean, I think defensively, I think it's a really good unit. I mean, and I think it certainly starts up front. I think that's a good group they got.
Your wide receiving core, is the rotation a little different than like 3 or 4 weeks ago? It seems like.
I say, you know, I think Strother's probably playing a little bit more than he was. He's playing really well, you know, and it's not. You know, Rob is in the return game and all that stuff, and Rob's still playing well, making plays in the games. Had a couple of catches last week that were big catches for us, you know. But Strother's playing really well, you know. I mean, so I think when you have guys that are playing really well that are add value to your team, take reps off other people, you do that. You know, we've gone with Charles and Shelton a little bit more than maybe we rotated them early. You know, but Dale jumps in there and still takes, you know, good reps for us and goes out there and plays well for us. And, you know, and Jaden Johnson's playing a little bit at H, you know, whenever Charles needs a break, you know, whenever we're in 11 personnel. But, you know, I mean, this time of year, I think everybody's kind of had an opportunity, you know, at this time of year, you know, especially some of the games we've been in where it feels like every drive is pretty critical. You know, you got to have the ones that are playing the best out there in that moment. And that's kind of where we're at right now. I mean, some of these young guys are, I mean, I'm still really high on some of these young guys that maybe aren't playing a ton right now. I mean, I think the future for them is really, really bright. You know, it's just kind of the way that the season's going a little bit. And we feel like it gives us the best chance right now to go out there and be successful.